everyone, I'm Shekinah Grace. Did you know that procrastination can be good? Before we start, I want to ask you guys a question. Which king in the Bible gave an unlawful sacrifice in haste and disappointed the Lord? Was it King Ahab or King Hezekiah or King Saul or King Jehoshaphat? Now I'll tell the answer in just a bit. Now what is procrastination? Procrastination is delaying or postponing a particular work at the given particular time or particular given deadline or set time. Till now we've heard that procrastination is bad and that procrastination sets us up for failure, and that's a habit which we actively want to destroy. But today I want to tell you that procrastination can be good. Yes, you've heard me right. Procrastination can be good. So procrastination is of two types. It is active procrastination, which is more goal oriented and they prioritize important things and they deliberately delay and they actively delay the work that they must do. And passive or the traditional procrastination, where people procrastinate till the end because they're indecisive, because of so many other reasons, but they don't get the work done. So that's the difference between active procrastination and passive procrastination. Now why am I telling you this? If you're someone who procrastinates, and if you are someone who does work, who does things in a hurry and you worry a lot and do things in haste, then this is for you guys. I am a procrastinator. I procrastinate, and if I were to improve myself, I would think what kind of a procrastinator am I, and how can I improve myself? And sometimes I do take hasty decisions, and I want to tell in this video places when you can actively procrastinate. Things in our day-to-day life when we can procrastinate and improve our life altogether. Now let's start with a story. I'm pretty sure we all are aware of Esau and Jacob from the Bible. So Esau and Jacob are sons of Isaac and Rebekah. So Esau one day went to the field. He worked a lot and came back home, and then he saw Jacob. He was cooking a really good meal and it was red. I've heard it as red bean stew. So when he came, he was very hungry and he asked Jacob to give him the stew and give him a meal basically, because he was very hungry and tired, and maybe the stew was really good. It looked very good. It must have smelled delicious also, probably, I do not know. So Jacob said, I will give it to you, but you have to give me your birthright first. And I don't know if you guys know this, but he didn't hesitate for a moment. He just said, I am going to die here. What good does this birthright do to me? He didn't even think about the consequences of selling his birthright as a firstborn. He forgot all about the blessings that are associated with it, and just like that, just for a momentary, pleasure or that moment, he just thought about that moment alone, and he just gave up his blessings and his birthright. And because of that, we know that he had a strained relationship with his parents and with his brother. He was angry and full of resentment, and it took them a lot of time to reconcile. And we know that that's a very hard thing for us if we were to make a hasty decision and if it were to affect our life, and that is something we would regret for the rest of our life. So hasty decisions are a part of our life. Sometimes we make hasty decisions. If you make hasty decisions on a regular basis, then I'm pretty sure that this video would help you at least a little to focus on procrastinating a little, so that it would help you in the long run. And if you're someone who procrastinates a lot like me, then it's time to reevaluate our life. Are we active procrastinators or passive procrastinators? Now these are the advantages of active procrastinators. I mean, or active procrastination. The first is we have focused, concentrated and attention towards one particular task because we have very little time, because we have procrastinated till now. We have to focus everything and we have to concentrate with everything that we've got on that particular task to finish it. So that's one important benefit. The second benefit is that all the other unimportant tasks that we have set apart will just fall away because we know what is important and we have to target that in order to hit the deadline or in order to finish that particular deadline. The third important reason or the important benefit of active procrastination is that we take better decisions. When we procrastinate a decision, we try to think about it over and over again. We can think, we can see the possibilities of the outcome for the decision that we are going to make, and that will lead us to make good life choices. The fourth important benefit is when we delay or when we procrastinate apologizing when we are at fault, it gives that other person time to cool down, time to become, a little more stable, so that the anger towards us and the resentment towards us will reduce. And this will lead to better apologies from our side, and it will help them to also receive those apologies with a better attitude. In that way, active procrastination will definitely help us. Now, where are the areas in our life where we can actively procrastinate? And mind you, active procrastination is goal-oriented, deliberate postponement or procrastination so that we would achieve a particular goal or a task. So the first area in our life where we must actively procrastinate is when we are faced with any kind of temptation. Temptations which lead us to sin and temptations which do not lead us to sin. Either way, if we could procrastinate, we would be out of a lot of danger, especially temptations which lead towards sin. It could be anger, it could be lust, it could be any other temptation which could lead us into sin. So that's one area where we must actively procrastinate. The second area is where being slow to anger or procrastinating or delaying our anger. Let's see what it said in Proverbs. Proverbs 14:29 says, "He that is slow to anger is of great understanding, but he that is hasty of spirit exalteth folly." So it tells us that if we are slow to anger, we have great understanding, but if we are very quick to get angry, then we exhibit foolishness. So I know none of us want to be foolish, so let us actively procrastinate our anger. The third area in our life when we must actively procrastinate is when we are hasty with our words. Let's see what Proverbs says about that. Proverbs 29 verse 20 says, "Do you see a man hasty with his words? There is more hope for a fool than for him." So if we are hasty with our words, we can be sure that we would destroy relationships and we would destroy our own future sometimes. So it's important to actively procrastinate, especially the words that are coming from our mouth, because it could hurt someone else, it could hurt our own selves, and it could also bring disappointment upon us from God. The fourth area in our lives where we must actively procrastinate is when we do not have a direction from the Lord. When we are faced with a crossroads and we do not know which way to go, the best thing to do is to wait upon the Lord. Because when we take decisions in a haste which is not in the will of God, then sometimes we invite trouble. So when we are faced with a crossroads, the best thing you can do is to slow down and think all the possible things you can think, and then trust in the Lord and then make a decision. The fifth area in our lives where we must actively procrastinate is when we are in a peer pressure. When we are faced with peer pressure and we want to please ourselves and man more than God, then it is important for us to procrastinate that particular decision so that we would not get ourselves into any trouble. So I want to close off with this verse from Proverbs. Proverbs 28:25 to 27. This is from the TPT version of the Bible. To make rash, hasty decisions shows that you are not trusting the Lord. But when you rely totally on God, you will still act carefully and prudently. That's a very, very carefully put together verse is what I feel. It tells us how to act, especially when we're faced with decisions, and how important it is to rely upon the word of God. Now coming back to the question I asked you guys in the beginning. So the answer is King Saul. If we see in 1 Samuel chapter 13, it said that Saul, Jonathan and Israelite soldiers went to wage a war against Philistines. Now the Philistines, they brought all their chariots, their army, and they wanted to come and fight the Israelites. The Israelites were terrified and they wanted to know what God would tell them to do. So Saul asked Samuel, and Samuel said, wait for 7 days and then I will come and I will give a sacrifice and I will tell you. So Saul waited for 7 days, but Samuel didn't come. So he gave a sacrifice. He gave a sacrifice by himself to the Lord. Now there are two things wrong with that. First, he disobeyed a direct commandment from God. Second thing, he's not a Levite or he's not a priest to offer a sacrifice to the Lord. Because of this hasty decision that he made, what happened? He brought upon the disappointment of God and his kingdom was taken away from him. So I really hope that this video helps you to see the light of procrastinating, especially in the areas I've already talked about. If you like this video, please do like, share and please do subscribe. It would mean a lot. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you.